Recently down 10 million bucks on a movie deal and seemingly becoming a topic of public concern on a widespread basis, a lot of people are a little bit worried about Ryan. He's a kid who's been shaking up YouTube for a decade. He's a damn juggernaut of all things, but it's looking like a brand which has made his family reported $100 million in net worth is starting to show its own age, much like its own star. While I'm too old myself to have been a normal viewer of the Ryan's Toy Review channel, I actually became personally interested in it when the FTC specifically accused the channel of deceptive advertising to minors, an audience that can't necessarily differentiate an ad from a genuine product review. I think that the protections on advertising to children are frankly valid, and it's kind of interesting to me to think how this highly profitable YouTube channel is a central reason why YouTube's policies towards children's content have changed in themselves. There are a number of controversies to go over, but I'm more interested in what I've been thinking about. How can they actually turn this bad boy around? This is a whole media empire we're talking about here. Analyzing this channel is firstly incredibly interesting that this huge egg surprise toys challenge with inflatable water slide video has a view count that makes it potentially competitive with some of the most insanely popular videos on this platform. These includes things that are hyper culturally important, like Gangnam Style. If you actually compare it by a time ratio, it actually is practically competitive with it. Back in their golden years, this channel posted videos which normally hit view thresholds in the hundreds of millions, with this channel's performance now seeing their top videos perform quite a bit less after a few years even. It's not hard for me to understand why so many people are that concerned for Ryan, especially when the newer videos have him seeming, I mean, this kid's gotten older. We're getting closer to an authentic Ryan's car reviews channel at this rate. I've watched a stack of these videos over the years, and I have some notes on how things have progressed as they moved along that I think kind of contribute to the problem. Something I'll say is that in a lot of their earlier videos, the parents did try to push what they thought were good habits. They weren't super choreographed, though, in my opinion. And all it honestly amounted to was make sure you brush your teeth and eat celery, Ryan. I do not see improvements to this aspect of their show. Where the improvement does actually happen is within their production value. It's worth pointing out the parents run the show here. They always had an emphasis on their interactions with Ryan, including them playing elaborate games and acting out skits together. In the early days, they'd play games that were kind of doable. A kid watching Ryan with their own parent could actually do something similar. This is where the set design, inclusion of multiple actors, props, and vaguely bad filmmaking come together to bite them. The issue here is kind of obvious. It's kind of like how the pro moral nature they wanted to add to their videos, which seems like a good addition, the inclusion of which the production values actually also undermined by the fact that this is a very amateurish production. The thing is, this didn't actually impact the videos that this channel was wildly successful on. All they needed was a living room, a kid with presentation skills, and a pile of toys for hundreds of millions of views. That's the actual professional talent I think that the parents had here. They directed their kid very well to display the toys, features, and make an effectively perfect presentation that keeps other kids' attention for sure. The realest issue which I actually have is that this content is trying to compete with network television channels in the style that it's made at least. And to be perfectly blunt with you, I would not let my kid watch this stuff. It's mindless. It doesn't need to teach them anything. Unrelated to these content issues with policy changes, it seems their most profitable years may just simply be past them entirely. And these takeaways actually lead me to some practical advice that I would give to Shion and Leon if they were my own friends on how they can turn their own channel around, as well as their entire media empire, because I really feel that the channel in itself is kind of reflecting what's happened across the bones of the whole boy. Now, again, if I were a friend to these people, I'd honestly tell them to consider selling the channel. I know it sounds crazy and maybe a little cynical, but this has to be the most prime channel ever to sauce up from the right hands perspective. We've seen big buyouts with companies like Blindness Media Group and Game Theory. I genuinely believe they get a bigger number to dice out here, especially given the post buyout company can do exactly what I'm going to recommend without making it as weird on the drama tube perspective here. Hear me out. They should fire everyone. Sans maybe like an editor that's pretty good at their job and just adopt a new kid. Or even just hire a child actor. Why not? The reality is, it looks borderline odd to see a teenager review children's toys at this point. The truth is, Ryan made his dinero and grew up leaving a business that is dying partly as a result of this. Lest I remind you, these people are absolutely loaded, and I know it's mean maybe, but they can hire or just adopt a kid that will fit social media specs perfectly. They will allow them to recreate the last 9 years of social media success with an actual child. These parents are actually obviously very skilled at directing a young kid to make presentable web content for other kids. I see no reason they can't just turn this into a Brian's world with a whole new kid on the tap. Blue's Clues swapped Steve on us, man. Ryan can hand the torch off, that's for sure, and they can begin making egg videos all over again. Honestly, if you ask me, the worst case is they never get those views again, but hey, maybe some adopted kid gets to live with some rich YouTubers and have a lot of toys. It's a win-win for everybody, if you ask me. And honestly, it'd be hard to fail from that point. Under my specs, they'd fire everyone sans maybe just one editor, remember? Those videos no longer cost a lot of money to make from there. It brings them back to their actual recipe. Now, it's worth adding, we might all be a little ignorant on how well off these people really are and maybe even how well their brand's doing. After all, there's an actual TV series, video games, toys. They've been out for years now. It's actually very possible that things will progress fine for them as is. But I happen to think that my idea would really fast track them back to their seemingly most successful point and allow them to monetize their greatest talent while still allowing for them to sell their media assets off for a large sum of money at some point. Options I honestly think they should and could consider as they're progressing this channel.